Unfortunately, this has been, was in the days of Christ, really just aborted. The Pharisees, way back yonder, they began saying, you've got to obey the law, but you've got also to obey our traditional interpretations of the law. That's legalism. You don't just obey the law, you obey the traditions of our fathers in reference to the law. So they began thinking of righteousness in terms of law and tradition. And this is what Jesus constantly got onto them about and constantly corrected them about, because they were making the grace of God, the mercy of God, the goodness of God toward men, they were making it into a legal code. So the first thing you know, they are saying to people, you have to abide by my interpretation, or by the traditional interpretation of whatever that might have been. And when Jesus' disciples violated the traditions, oh, the Pharisees were all over them. You are not abiding by the law. No, you're not abiding by the traditions. The traditional interpretation of the law, which we have now elevated to a point of the law. You see, the difference is that doesn't do anything to the inside of me. That only conforms me to the external. It isn't until Christ is dwelling in me, living in me, animating me, motivating me, directing me, guiding me. It isn't until that begins taking place within my heart and soul that I've found out what righteousness really is. So Jesus says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. I don't know about you, but I'll have to confess, I never have really been so hungry that I thought I was going to starve to death. Fortunately, I grew up in a family where we had food on the table every meal, and we didn't miss any meals. You can tell I don't miss meals now. But there are people who have been hungry and have starved to death. There are people who have died because of thirst. Jesus, in saying, blessed are those who hunger and thirst, Jesus is telling us something, folks. You know what? We can eat for survival. We have to have water and food for survival. I don't mind telling you, I enjoy eating. You do too. I don't just eat because I'm trying to survive. I eat because I enjoy it also. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. Now let's see how this comes down to us. Hungering and thirsting. I'm pursuing it because it's absolutely necessary that I have it. I am so hungry to be the right kind of person that I can only describe it as being hungry and thirsty after righteousness. That's the way I ought to be. That's the idea of this beatitude here, that I am driven. I want to be like God so badly that I am driven as if I would starve or die of thirst if I can't attain this righteousness. Now we've got two things to mix together here. It's no longer I that live, but Christ that lives in me. But at the same time, there's a responsibility to me to become all that I can be in the sight of God. The key to this is being able to mix these two together so that God guides my life because I want God to guide my life. It isn't that God guides my life in spite of what I want. Well, we need to grow out of that. We need to mature beyond that. There's just a great statement in the Psalms that I really love. A little song had been written, a hymn had been written after this. Psalms 42, verses 1 and 2. Listen to it. As the deer pants for the streams of water, so my soul pants for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When can I go and meet with God? Boy, I like that. It isn't the idea of my obligation. Oh, that's certainly true. Yes, I have obligation. It isn't the idea that I must. Well, yes, but I must. But it's the idea that I am wrapped up now in this whole thing of, as the deer pants for the streams of water, so my soul pants for you, O God. How do you feel about that? How is that working in my life? Do I see my Christian life as a life of obligation, responsibility? I must never lose that. But I need also to see my life, the Christian life, as the life that I am absolutely dying to live. I want to live it so badly that I hunger and thirst after that kind of life. I am looking for it. I'm striving for it. I'm working for it because I want to become what God wants me to be. That's the whole idea. But again, we've got these Pharisees, and these Pharisees had trouble with this sort of thing. And so in the 6th chapter here well, I'm just going to read part of it. Be careful that you do not do your acts of righteousness, good word, your acts of righteousness before men to be seen of them. If you do, you have no reward with your Father in heaven. Of course not. You did this to be seen of men. You were seen of men. That's it. So when you give to the needy, don't announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogue and on the street corners, to be honored by men. I tell you the truth. They have received their reward in full. And then dropping on down, he said, and when you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing on this, in the synagogue and on the corners of the street to be seen of men. I tell you the truth. They have received their reward in full. What is my life? How am I living it? Is there an enthusiasm in my life about being right in God's sight, about learning to be a better person within myself? Or am I just trying to conform? Am I trying to behave like Christians are supposed to behave? You see, with one, it's an external, and it's to be seen of men. With the other, I've never heard this word before, and I was preparing this, this thought just came to my mind. So we need to be unconscious Christians, unconscious of my Christian life, where I am not thinking, oh, because I'm a Christian, I need to do this, I need to do it this way, and so forth. No, instead, just where it becomes so natural for me. Hey, you know, we all learned to walk when we were kids, didn't we? Oh, there was a time, you know, when I just barely learned to walk. I fell. I don't remember it, but you know, that's the way it is, folks. You fall, you skin your knees, and so forth. You know, when I got up out of the bench there to walk up here, I didn't say to myself, all right, now I've got to get up. Now I've got to walk. And to walk, I've got to put the left foot forward and then the right foot forward. No, I didn't think about that. I've been walking for a long time. And I just get up and walk because it's so natural for me to walk. That's the idea, folks. The Christian life ought to be so natural that we do it unconsciously. It's so much a part of us. It's so ingrained. It's so natural for us to be Christ-like. That's what he's driving at here. And then that blessedness. That bliss that is beyond description. That bliss that can never be taken away from you. It'll be right there. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness. They'll be filled. We need to work on it, folks. We need to strive for it. We need to keep it out there as a goal for ourselves. And further along as we go, we will recognize that there is a maturing taking place in our souls. I'm not just behaving properly. I'm behaving properly because I'm becoming a different person inside. That's the idea of blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they will be filled. If you're not a Christian today, this is a wonderful time to be born again, to be buried with your Lord in baptism, and raised to walk a new life. A life that will ultimately bring you the kind of bliss and happiness that Jesus is talking about. If you are subject to the invitation, we're going to sing the song that's been announced, and we invite you to come. Let's stand together and sing, please.